When the weather turns cold outside, most hummingbirds migrate. To migrate means to move from one region or habitat to another. Migration is usually seasonal. Why migrate? Some scientists suggest that hummingbirds are largely tropical birds in search of nectar, and that is why they fly north in the spring and summer months. The rufous hummingbird can fly from Alaska to Central America. It holds the record for distance traveled at 2,500 miles or 4,023 kilometers. In this video, we will discuss the ruby-throated hummingbirds since they are the predominant species that most people see and what this lesson is prioritizing. Banding studies suggest that individual birds may follow a set route year after year, often arriving back at the same feeder on the same day. The northern limit of the ruby-throated hummingbird species coincides with that of the yellow-bellied sapsucker. If the earliest males arrive in Canada before sufficient flowers are blooming, they raid sapsucker wells for sugar, as well as eat insects caught in the sap. The ruby-throated hummingbird flies 500 miles or 800 kilometers non-stop across the Gulf of Mexico and will travel 2,000 miles or 3,200 kilometers from their nesting sites in the north to their winter homes in Central America. Some birds stay in South Florida, and some populations even overwinter in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. When they migrate, they fly up to 20 to 30 miles per hour. It takes 14 and a half hours of non-stop flying to cross the ocean. They beat their wings 4,200 times per minute during migration. Once the birds reach North America, migration proceeds at an average rate of about 20 miles per day, generally following the earliest blooming of flowers that the hummingbirds prefer. To avoid the cold and the scarcity of food when flowers stop blooming and insects stop flying, hummingbirds fly south. Some adult males start migrating south as early as mid-July, but the peak of southward migration for this species is late August and early September. By mid-September, essentially all of the ruby-throated hummingbirds you see at feeders are migrating through from further north and not the same individuals that you see in the summer. The initial urge to fly south is triggered by the shortening length of sunlight as autumn approaches and has nothing to do with temperature or the availability of food. In fact, hummingbirds migrate south at the time of the greatest food abundance. When the bird is fat enough, it migrates. Planes are scheduled to take off at various times to prevent accidents. Hummingbirds follow this same routine during hummingbird migration. If the hummers were to leave all at once and a weather catastrophe would occur, it could likely destroy the entire species. I have noticed that it appears that the males head south first, and I used to think only the females linger on and don't migrate until September. Now I know that young males often resemble the females because they haven't grown out their red gorget feathers yet. So it may appear that all the females are taking longer to migrate south, but it could just be that some of these birds are immature males. In the spring, they all return and look for mates. Hummingbirds migrate alone. Scientists believe that this helps protect the species from being totally wiped out in the event that they encounter a major storm as they travel. I hope you enjoyed this little lesson about migration.